Today, we are going to talk about a very important topic, and the topic goes by the name of the legacy drawer, sometimes called legacy binder. More or less, a place, maybe physical, maybe online, that you keep all your most important documents. And as I always note in some of these videos, where when we continuously get questions from whether it's from our clients or from our WealthKill Weekly readers or the YouTube viewers like you, we notice a trend in these questions, comments, and we want to build content around them. And this is one that has continuously come up really kind of all across the board in all of our main channels. So we're going to switch it up a little bit now. I used to always add in that intro video. We do a little bit of YouTube research. We realize you didn't come here to see an intro video. You came in here to learn about the legacy drawer. So without further ado, let's get into the legacy drawer. All right, first section here, let's just do our kind of what, why, how, where, kind of all the things that are behind a legacy drawer. So first, let's do the what, right? The legacy drawer is an area to keep all your safe documents. And then second part of this video, we are going to walk into what's included in those documents. So we're looking for a place, whether this is a drawer, maybe it's a binder. We work with a lot of younger clients. I would say sometimes it's just an organized file on your computer. The key is you got to have everything in one spot, and someone that you know, love, and trust needs to know where it is. So that's really the main concept here that you're looking for with the legacy drawer or legacy binder. Why, right? Why do you need this? Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but this is one of those ones where if you ever had to go through the loss of a loved one, most times you unfortunately have to find out the hard way how painful not only losing a loved one is, but trying to get things organized afterward. This is you trying to be cool, right? This is you trying to fix that for whoever has to do this for you. So whether it's a spouse, significant other, our children as we get older, you're just trying to make this as easy as possible. And having everything in one spot can make this so much easier. It's almost hard to put into words. I mean, we've seen both sides of it where clients are going through literally boxes and files in a basement compared to they have a binder and literally everything's in there, or the drawer had everything in there. And that's why you're doing this. You're just trying to make it easier for whoever has to help you with your estate and getting those things organized, but also adding a big personal touch. And that's what we're going to get to as we move down here a little bit. And then how do you set it up? Well, it can be an actual one. It can be a digital one. Some estate attorneys will even give you binders these days where you can get all your estate documents in there, and then you can layer in some of the other things we're going to hit as we scroll down here in the video. But you're just trying to have everything in one spot. I keep using the three words really: online, legacy drawer, or binder. Those are your most common ones. Where to keep it. So you now have this idea of what it is. Where do you keep this thing? This is where it's important, right? If it's digital, great, right? It can't go down in a house fire. But you also want to make sure it's secure. You're going to have some pretty sensitive information in here, as I'm going to get to. There's about 11 documents that we usually will tell our clients. And we say documents, it has a mix of things, as you'll see here in a bit. But if you do put it online, make sure it's safeguarded, make sure it's password protected, make sure your loved ones not only know where it is, they know where that password is. So online, just be careful it's online. Now, just as much on the other side, be careful if it's in your own home, right? If it truly is a legacy drawer or a legacy binder, I will say, usually when we say the term drawer, we're not thinking about like, I'll just throw it in the junk drawer in the kitchen. That's probably not where you want these documents. This is usually something in terms of like a P.O. box, or if you're going to keep it at home, we're really looking for a fireproof safe here. And we're going to walk through a few documents. So it can't just be, the little one that kind of looks like a briefcase. You're going to want something a little bit larger. Ideally, if you have other possessions, something that's bolted to the ground. I know those suckers can be heavy, but you'd be surprised. Criminals are pretty smart people. So we want to make sure that you have it bolted to the ground. It's a little bit larger. If you're keeping it in the house, fireproof, fireproof, fireproof. We all have that loved one, right, that has all the cash hidden throughout the house, some in a coffee container, some dug in the backyard, some truly in the mattress, some hidden in this place or that place. Fantastic. But remember, homeowners insurance covers about $250. So if the house burns down, we're in trouble here. If it's digital, safe, password protected, make sure someone knows where it is. If it's at the bank, P.O. box, make sure someone knows about the key, right? Got to make sure they actually have access to that. And then last but not least, if it's in your home, fireproof safe is number one. Two, I would like it to be large enough that you're also going to be able to bolt this sucker down to the ground. Those are the main things to keep in mind in the how, what, when, why. And last but not least, this is the one that's missed quite a bit before we hit into the main items here with the actual documents per se. Don't forget to do regular updates. This might be a simple little 6-month reminder on your Google Calendar. Maybe it's an annual reminder. But as we start to head through these next 11 documents, you want to have a reminder, right? You got to get in there and make sure it's updated. Some things are a little bit easier than others, right? Like your social security card, social security number doesn't change that often. That one's easy. But did you update your estate documents? Did you update your new IRA or your Roth IRA? Did you change financial advisors, right? Just make sure that you're doing a little scan. This shouldn't take much time. And even if you did have a lot of updates in a given year, it still shouldn't take much time to update these. If it's online, probably even a little bit faster. If it is in the PO box or the safe deposit box at the house with the fireproof safe on it as well, going through those documents, make sure everything's up to date. That will have you in a good spot. That is the main kind of what, when, why, how. Let's now hit those 11 documents that we want to see in there. And remember, keep this personal to you. I may say one thing that you're like, I don't know, it doesn't really pertain to me. It might also trigger another thought of other things you had in there. That's kind of the beauty of the legacy drawer, legacy binder, the legacy online vault, whatever you want to call it. But let's hit these 11 documents too here. All right. First document, a cover letter. Because just before you pass away, you might want to apply for employment. I'm just kidding. This cover letter is completely different. Cover letter is going to be just your overall description, right? What's in here? What are we looking at? Who's the financial advisor? Who's the estate attorney? Just a little summary explaining the purpose, the accounts. Don't even worry about a personal note. You're probably thinking, I'll just type in a personal note on how much I love you. Don't worry. I have a section for that one too. First, start with a cover letter, just kind of describing the basics, the purpose, the accounts, giving the person that opens this binder, this box, this online folder, heck, in an online folder, you can even put, start here, right? And just kind of give them the context of what they're looking at. So first up here, let's do the cover letter. After the cover letter, I think the easiest document and probably what most people think about when they hear about this drawer or this file is estate documents, right? Their wills, their estate documents, wills, powers of attorney, any trust documents. That's what you want to have in here. And as we always say, this is more or less that treasure map, right? This will have all the rules in there. Ideally, whether you're putting your attorney's information on the estate documents or you had it already in that cover letter, this is where you want to keep your most up-to-date estate documents. And remember, if you updated your estate documents and you had an older set, either write old, void, or maybe even shred them. We just updated ours as we moved to Florida. We shredded all the ones from Pennsylvania once we knew everything was live in Florida. Just make sure you have the most recent filed estate documents in there. Financial account information. Now, this one can be a little bit more complicated depending on your situation. This is also probably one that might update a little bit more frequently than others. We tell our clients, just put a note in the cover letter about us, right? You don't even need to list all the accounts. Or if clients really do want to be specific, we can even print out a little balance sheet that kind of lists all the accounts. Accounts can update, right? Hey, where we added in a Roth IRA later in retirement because we did Roth conversions, forgot to update that. Or we found that old silly little 401k and I moved it into another account. Or we added 529 plan for the grandkids. This section can update it. And so I'm saying, investment accounts. These could also just be open up a new bank account, right? Something simple like that. So if you have an advisor, I think you can make this a little bit easier on, call Mr. or Mrs. Advisor. They have everything organized. If you don't have an advisor, just kind of go through and say, hey, at Fidelity, I have this account. At Ally Bank, I have this account, and just giving them a little bit more context on what you're looking for, right? So financial accounts, listing prominent financial people in your life, again, financial advisor, and then also listing those financial accounts or even printing out a balance sheet of some sort that will give you an idea of where these numbers are and what these accounts are. Next one we have on the list is funeral instructions. Now, depending on your estate documents, our estate documents, actually, we have a whole section in there on what we want. Now, my wife and I, Mari, we kept our section pretty simple, but you might have specific wishes there, right? You might say, hey, I don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated and I want all 3 of my kids to keep a little necklace of ashes. But after that, don't worry about it. Just always keep me with you and you're good to go. Maybe you want to spread out of the ocean. Maybe you want a traditional funeral, but this would be a chance to lay out more specific instructions if you didn't already have those inside of your estate documents. And that's where I know, I'm going to give you 11 ideas here. Some of them might already be mixed into others. You might go line for line. Next up, insurance policies. Some that we have here, we list health insurance, car insurance, life insurance. good things to keep in mind here. I would say the most important one is likely life insurance. I would even plug in disability insurance. I know what you're thinking, who has disability insurance that late? Remember, unfortunately, we don't know when we're going to pass away, but there are some disability policies that will pay a small benefit if there is a premature death. Having really all your insurance policies here, but life insurance is usually the bigger dollar amount. So this would be a good spot to either have physical policies in there. If you have some private term life insurance, this might be a good place to have, again, another little summary sheet, whether it's something provided from your advisor or if it's something that you're listing out and saying, hey, I have from when I retired from ABC Factory, they kept 50,000. I also have this little small 25,000 that my parents got open for me. I got another 25,000 from the local credit union. And then I have my big $2 million term policy. Listing all of that out is what you're looking to do here. I'm using life insurance. Having other insurance policies there is likely a good idea. Health insurance, depending on how things went towards the end of life there. If you do need to see like what was covered, what was not covered, but insurance policies are another important one. Important documents, right? This is my joke earlier, right? Don't keep this in the kitchen, but we got birth certificates, social security numbers, deeds to your home, those types of documents. And I say deeds to your home, but you might have a boat, you might have some four-wheelers, some jet skis, snowmobiles. I don't know, maybe you're a crazy outdoors person, right? But your important documents, having those in one secure location will make things a lot easier. I think social security, birth certificate are probably the more common, easy ones, but those deeds can be a tricky one, right? So having those nearby, that's another good one to have in here. Next one is where it's going to get a little bit of, it might get into allergy season here. Your eyes might get a little bit misty on this one, but legacy letters. And I would take it one step further. I would even think about, depending on your comfort level, legacy videos, right? How powerful would that be? Having a stored video in there. And you might be thinking, Chad, how the heck am I going to put that in P.O. box? Well, you can put it on a USB thumb drive, right? If you're saving it online, that's easy. Just throw it in there. But kind of a neat way to think about that. And this could be another one where you might not have to update it every single year. But I go build one tomorrow. Ideally, I don't have to use it for many decades. But then every few years, you get in there and update that. I have not personally done this, but I'm a very emotional person. So I can imagine that it probably makes you very grateful to wake up every day. So keep that in mind in this drawer here, right? Legacy letters or even legacy videos. Powerful stuff. I think can go a really long way. One that's often overlooked, the monthly budget. Budget's everywhere in these videos, right? It doesn't matter if you're coming out of residency or fellowship as a young physician, or you're on the verge of leaving this beautiful earth. Having a list of budget items is really important. Let me tell you who I think this is most important for. When you have a couple together, one is the CFO, the other is not. When that CFO passes away, it can be a lot of stress on the person who did not manage the day-to-day finances, which is why I always think both partners should always be involved in finance. Not to say they both have to be experts, but knowing what's going on goes a long way. Keep in mind, monthly budget's a good one to list here, right? Let's just say mortgages don't play, right? Mortgages coming out, we got to pay the water guy, we got to pay the electric gal. We have this coming out for Comcast, we have that's TV provider. Having a budget is a good place so that your loved one or loved ones can kind of see what they should be keeping an eye on, what's a legitimate expense, which is not. This is one that is often overlooked, but a good spot to list a budget down there. Another one you might not be thinking about, tax returns, right? Having a few years of past tax returns is not a bad one to have in here. Or if you're thinking, Chad, that sounds miserable to have all these thick tax returns. At the current pace, my P.O. box is going to be about this big. I get it. This would be another good place, whether you do it in the cover letter or in the tax section, either maybe including a summary page and then listing your accountant's information. Most people probably use the same accountant for about a decade regardless. Your accountant will have that information on file. And even if you keep a summary page of, here was my 2023 taxes all the way back to 2019 taxes. Here's what we had in here, at least for a summary so that they can keep an eye on things just in case if the IRS starts coming back, in a random audit, unfortunately, once you've left this earth. So past tax returns, I'd keep it even a little bit more simple on if you've been using the same accountant for a long time, listing their information in there. But another great example of having that summary in there to list them as a person to reach out to if you need this. Coming down the home stretch, two more. Passwords. Passwords are a tricky one. Passwords have gotten more complicated because you need them for everything. Everything is password protected. For this one, I think it's very difficult to list everything out in an Excel spreadsheet. For this one in particular, because you're going to sign on there and say, well, your password expired. Time to update your password. You'd be updating your legacy binder here on a daily basis. So this is one where I do believe, again, you got to be a little bit tech savvy here. Having a password manager is going to make this a lot easier. And then again, on a summary sheet saying that, hey, I use Apple passwords and here's my primary password. I use LastPass, here's my primary password. Because then when you're updating your passwords, they're already updating in those systems for you. So it's a more up-to-date database. Now, if you're like, Chad, the heck with that, I would just think of your primary spots, right? Here's my online bank information. Here's my mortgage online, right? The main ones that you want to log into, that's where you want to do that. And keep in mind, if we go back into the estate documents, if you're plugging in the power of attorney, these are areas where you can also call them, provide documents, and still get access to it. But it's probably much easier if it's all listed out. Here's my username, here's my password. And then last but not least, safe deposit box information. So if it truly is a safe deposit box, where do you find it, right? And this could be double layered, right? You might say like, hey, I have most of this stuff in my actual fireproof safe bolted to the ground. And then I also have a safe deposit box at the bank. And in the safe deposit box, this is the information you're going to find. Here's where it is. Here's the password. Here's the key, right? You can also have that layer in there. Or maybe it's the same thing. You actually have the physical stuff in the fireproof safe bolted to the ground. And then you say, hey, online though, here's where you're going to find my password manager. Kind of think of this as like any more vital information you need to add in there to make sure your loved ones can find everything they need to get through all this. That's 11 documents, 11 things that you should be thinking about in your safe deposit box, legacy drawer, legacy binder, making sure you have all this together. The overall idea of a legacy drawer, legacy binder, I think takes higher importance the older we get, but I would challenge you to challenge that idea, right? Think of getting these things organized sooner than later. I mean, heck, maybe it's as simple as you just getting your estate documents done. Will take you a long way. It doesn't have everything I want in there, but it still is going to make it a lot easier for whoever has to come in and clean these things up and get things organized for you. Legacy drawer, legacy binder, safe deposit box, very vital. One of those things that you certainly want to keep an eye on. You want to build around, add updates to it, right? Maybe an annual update in there, but very common question we get. I wanted to break it down, wanted to add in some insights in there, kind of things we see from our side, but more or less just something to kind of spark your to-do list per se, right? To get out there and get this done on your own. So I hope you enjoyed this. As always, thanks for hanging out with me the last 15 minutes or so. If you have not subscribed, great time to subscribe. Also, drop us a comment. If you want to see anything, you have any questions about this, please drop us a comment. Also in the description, we also put a link in there where you can just drop us an actual question on our Google form. Sometimes that's a little bit easier than putting your information out there, where you can drop us some ideas or questions so that we can address them in a future video. So again, thanks for hanging out with me for the last 15 minutes or so. As always, I will catch you on the next video.